Hey guys, welcome to the show. Today I have a very special guest. He's a very good friend of mine. We live across the other side of the world from each other, but we didn't used to. His name is Jake Robinson. He's married. He has a beautiful family. Some of his interesting hobbies: beekeeping, gardening, homesteading, flipping raw landscape land for fun. We can talk about that a little bit later. And building a financial services business with his wife and his daughter. Jake's kind of mission is really he has a drive to accomplish meaningful stuff. So how me and Jake know each other is that he was basically a brilliant mentor to me in the early stages of my career. In fact, I left my full-time job at the time to set up my first kind of entrepreneurial financial services business with Jake as my regional vice president. And so under his wing, I learned a lot from him, not in the least in the areas of leadership and what type of character traits are required to really build a successful business. So he helped me level up in lots of ways. I'm very grateful for him and for what he did and for the impact he had in my life at the time. And I'm just thankful that after all these years, we're still friends and we get to connect now. So thanks for coming on, Jake.
Thanks for having me, Andy. I'm actually flattered that you would want to interview me, especially after what the viewers don't know is that when he launched his first full-time entrepreneurial career in financial services with me, I sold him on this dream of, hey, this company from the U.S. is coming to the U.K. and we're big and successful over there, and we got lots of entrepreneurial people that have become very successful, making lots of money, doing something that truly helps people, that you can feel good about, that's fun and make serious income. And we're going to do it here in the UK. And we started doing that. And unfortunately, our company was owned by a big corporation, Citigroup. You probably heard of those guys. And Citigroup, after 3 years, decided that they didn't want us over there. And they forced us to shut down our company. And it was against our will. Our CEO of our company fought them. And they said, well, you can stay open if you want to, but you got to do these. These are the numbers you got to hit within the next 2 years. And if you don't do it, we're shutting you down anyway. If you shut down now, we'll give you guys some severance money and your guys can go back to America. And so, unfortunately, the timing was not very good for Andy. He had just made a decision. You made a decision that you were getting married to Lisa. Y'all were engaged and you had a wedding date. And you had made this big plan of, okay, I put my 2-week notice into my company. I'm getting married. I'm going on. Did you guys go to Spain? Is that where you went for your honeymoon?
Sicily.
Sicily. Okay. So they went to Sicily on their honeymoon for 2 weeks or whatever. And they're going to come back and he's going full time with me in our business. While he was on his honeymoon, I got the call from our headquarters saying, we're pulling the plug. You're going back home. So what do you mean pulling the plug? We're shutting it down totally. And I was devastated. It really was. That was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, was to tell you that, hey, Andy, you just had this big dream. You had this plan. And by the way, I want to let people know, out of all the people I've ever hired in this business, I've been doing it for over 20 years now. And I've hired hundreds and hundreds of people that have come through the doors. Andy was the best guy I ever brought on board. He was the guy that I thought was going to be I was totally confident that you would be one of the top guys in our company. And we have guys in our company making 7 figures per year. And there's no doubt in my mind that you would have built a business that way. And I had to come back and crush your dreams. I hate to do that, but I did not send you a text. I didn't send you any information while you're on your honeymoon. My wife was like, what are you going to do? So there's no way I can send him a text message and say, hey, when you get back, you don't have a business to come back to. You just quit your job. I mean, that's devastating. I had to wait till you got back home so I could crush your life then. And I didn't want to do that. I was pretty upset. I mean, what did we have? Probably 100 people around in our team, maybe at that time. I don't know. We had a lot of people coming around. Growing. And I had lots of other people like that I had to face, and say, guys, I sold you this dream, but it's a pipe dream now. It blew my credibility. It made me look terrible. It wasn't our company's fault. It was our parent company. And since then, thank goodness, our company spun off of Citigroup and we launched our own IPO and became our own company. You know, you can't help who your parents are. You certainly don't have to listen to them, though. You don't have to like them, right? So our parents were abusive in this business, our business parents, and we got rid of them. And now we're on our own company. We're on the New York Stock Exchange, and we have no debt. But it killed me, man. I came home and I was really fairly devastated for a while. I didn't really want to do anything, and I didn't do anything for about 10 years
Yeah.
until
So,
recently.
and what's interesting is, you know, as we shared before, it's like you know, I actually didn't know how hard it was for you, and you know, I really appreciate what you said about me. Was that you thought that you were in my bad books for like a couple of years after?
Well, I mean, you're blaming it on Facebook. You're saying I didn't really know how Facebook worked, but there was a couple of times where he would comment. We were still friends on Facebook, and he would comment about something, and I would chime in and like it or say something. He never responded to it. He's like, he hates my guts.
Oh,
I wouldn't blame you if you did.
and I didn't, you know, and I absolutely didn't. So yeah, I will put it down to just yeah, social media beginner at the time.
Or time heals all wounds.
So, you know, and it's one of those where when, for me, when I'm going into a venture like that, you know, I take full ownership. You know, I recognize the dream that's placed before me, as you call it, Jake. For me, I see it like I've got to do the work. I've
Yep.
got to put in, you know, and I've got to just take full ownership of everything that goes well and doesn't, you know, and so my reaction to that was, yeah, it's pretty hard hitting, but instantly it's like, okay, well, what's next? You know,
You see, that is a sign of a true winner. It's your recovery time. How long do you dwell on the adversities that come to you? And I dwelled for 10 years. You instantly, that's why I said you were my best guy. You're the essence of why you're going to be a great success coach if you're not already one, because you're also the most coachable person I've ever had. When I said, this is how we want to do it, you didn't question it. You just did it, and you learned it, and you were becoming successful at it. You were growing a team, and you were starting to make money. And so that's what it really takes. It's when you do hit that bump in the road, how long are you going to sit back and cry and put your thumb in your mouth, and, you know, or do you say, I got to move on? And you did that. And that's why I do believe you're the best guy I ever worked with.
thanks, Jake. I mean, that, yeah, means a lot now still. So what happened in those 10 years for you when you came back home, as it were?
Well, I did. I mean, I realize it's not my company's fault as a parent company, but it didn't feel good that I just let down about 100 people, you know, and their families, not just them, their families. You know, our business revolves around kind of a partnership aspect where we encourage your spouse to be involved. My wife was on the board of directors for for partnership for the UK. And so they were directing that idea of, hey, you know, if Lisa wants to be involved, there's a lot of different ways she can be involved. It may be that she just keeps a job and pays bills while you learn the business, or she may get a license and come on and work side by side with you and actually do client appointments and help, you know, training and that sort of thing. And we encourage that. And so that devastated not just 100 people, but all their spouses or their partners in business. And so I came back and I worked a couple of years, but to tell you the truth, I lost a lot of my zeal. And over that time frame, okay, I probably just screwed off is basically the bottom line. I learned how to become a beekeeper and learned how to make mead, which is a form of honey wine, and, you know, homesteading, which is basically self-reliance around your, you know, doing things around your farm, if you want to call it that, gardening and being self-reliant. And I fooled around with other business ventures, something similar to what you did. I got involved with selling private label products on Amazon using their FBA program. They're fulfilled by Amazon, which basically you ship all your stuff to their warehouse, and they keep it in their warehouse, and they pick it, pack it, ship it, collect the money for you, fight the fraud for you, and pay you and deposit money into your account. And you just basically have to keep your inventory pipeline filled up. And I did that for a while. And I also did some information marketing. I wound up, like you're doing now, I interviewed successful Amazon sellers. And I probably have about 60 hours of how to sell a private label product on Amazon. If you guys want to learn how to do it, just go watch my YouTube videos. They're free. And you're hearing from people who make 6 and 7 figures and how to sell private label products on Amazon. Now, I'm sure it's changed a little bit, but the principles are the same, the basis are the same. So I did that for a while. And then recently, I started flipping land, not landscape. I was flipping land, raw land, which is just parcels of land that people might own. There's nothing on it. You know, they didn't build a house on it. It's just raw land. And I'll seek out people who own raw land who really just don't want it anymore. And I wind up buying it for maybe 25 to 35 cents or pence on the dollar, on the pound, pence on the pound. Um, that's a great bargain. If you can buy land that's worth 100% and you can buy it for 35%, then you can turn around and sell it for 70%. You can double your money and still sell it for less than it's worth and give somebody else some equity when they buy it and flip it really quickly. And you can turn your money very, very quickly and build up a revenue stream from investing in raw land. You can start fairly low. And I did that. But, you know, I finally got my sea legs back under me when it comes to the financial services business. My daughter, my youngest daughter, which she was 18, she was probably 18 at the time that you met her. So she was involved and in high school still. And she's 28 now. She got married last year and bought a home. And she knows, you know, about our business, but she don't really understand it. So she said, Dad, I need you to come over and sit down with me and show me how you help people with their money. I need that help. And so we sat down and we put on some level term life insurance, which is what she needed. We did a little rollover in an investment that she had from a retirement program. And then we have a financial needs analysis, which is step-by-step, customized, written action plan on how to get from being dead broke to becoming financially independent at retirement. And we, you know, do that over several years. And so she came back about 3 weeks later and said, Dad, what you showed me is awesome. And I really can't believe how good this is. In fact, I started talking to my friends, and none of them have what you set up for us, and everybody needs it. Dad, I want to do this part time. I want to be in the business. I was shocked. I didn't want to be in the business. I was like, I'm still licensed. I still have a business. I was just not building it, and I wasn't enthusiastic about it. And I said, oh heck, I don't want to do this. But it's my daughter, so I'm not going to say that to her. I'm gonna help her. And then we went to an international convention, which just happened to come up about 3 or 4 weeks later. That only happens every 2 years. And so the timing was just, it's almost like.
And I've been to that.
Yeah, you came to Atlanta in the U.S. for that. And it's a big deal, right? There's 50,000 people walking around that are doing the same business, a lot of successful people. And you hear a lot of success stories. And you see other people like, oh my gosh, if that guy can do it, I got a chance, right? And so she had just graduated from university and was going to become a school teacher. She was going to go back for her master's program. She had it all mapped out, but she just wanted to make some part-time income during the summer break. I said, we're going to the international convention. It just happens to be coming up. I want you to get the company culture and see what you think about it. About 3 days in, she came to me and said, Dad, I'm starting to have second thoughts about getting my master's for teaching. I said, why? And she said, well, because I'm going to have to spend 2 more years to get that. And then I'm going to have to work 40 hours a week as an intern student teacher, and I don't get paid for that. And when I come out, my starting pay is $35,000. I don't know how many pounds that is. It's maybe 50,000 pounds a year. It wasn't a whole lot. And then it'll top out, or it's the other way. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the other way.
It's the other way. Okay, less than that. So maybe 20,000 pounds. And then it tops out at $65,000 if I stay there for the rest of my life. And Dad, I can make $300,000 a year in your company, in your business, building my own business. And if I want to get back into teaching, I can save my money up and eventually I can open my own private school. And I don't know about you, Andy, but that fires me up when my own flesh and blood gets excited about the crusade that we do for people, which is a crusade to educate the masses about how to manage their money. And so my enthusiasm is now refired. I'm totally excited about the business again, and we're rebuilding, and we're building a family business. She hired my son-in-law that's married to my other daughter. And of course, Heather got relicensed again. So it is a family business. And we're going to go out and build something big here in our town in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
That's amazing. That's so good, right? And just to, I mean, it's your family, and this was one of the things that was really intriguing for me. It's like your daughters. I met them; they were young when they came over to the UK, and they've grown up in the business, but one of them only actually realized the benefit, the actual impact that the service that we provided had, like just only recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very recent. And you know, you'd think, did I let my daughter down? Why didn't I get with her when she was 21 and teach her these things? Maybe I could have, and maybe she'd been receptive to it. But you got to wait till people. You know, it's probably kind of like when you're in the spiritual world. You know, Jesus says you spread the word, and if they don't readily accept, you know, you dust your sandals, and you move on. And so you can't push a rope. And so, especially with it's your own daughter, you can't tell them what to do. You try to get them to do stuff, but they resist, right? Because you're the parents, so that's their job, is to resist you. But my dad always told me, he said, son, the older you get, the smarter I get. And he was right, because the older I got, the more respect I had for him. I was like, wow, my dad is pretty daggum smart. And it just takes time for some people to get to that point where she said, like, I need what you teach other people. I know you teach people some stuff with money, and now I've got a little bit of it, and I need some help. And she reached out. So I was really grateful for that.
And that's great as well, because that's testament to the way that you brought her up, that you had that relationship where when she was ready, she felt comfortable being able to approach you and have that mature conversation. That's great. I want to go back, Jake, to the time when you did that time when you were kind of stewing and just kind of,
Yep.
Kicking around, like but you weren't just completely out of it. You weren't, Netflix chilling. If Netflix was around back then, you were learning skills, right?
I was always, Andy, I was looking for my next thing, I guess. I was always reading and online watching YouTube videos, and not, cat videos. I was watching videos that you might put out, leadership videos or business opportunities, or, just, I'm always been somebody who wanted to self-improve. I see you have a library behind you. And if you can see my library, and I'm not like my library's bigger than yours, but it actually is. But I've been around longer than you. I mean, how old are you?
38.
Okay, I'm 58. So I got 20 years to accumulate a lot more books than you have. And I've read most of them. And so I really think that's a testament to a person's, zeal for life, because if you're not growing, you're dying. And if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. You never stay still. You never stagnate. And so the only way you can get better is borrow somebody else's experience. And the best way to do that is read a book. If somebody else has taken the essence of their success and boiled it down to a couple of hundred pages, and you get the cliff notes of that whole person's life experiences, all the good, all the bad, all their bad experiences, which failure is where you really learn. Okay. If you're always winning, it's easy, it's easy. It's easy to do well when times are good. In financial services, it's easy for people to want to do business with you when the market's going up. It's when the market goes down and it's tough times where a true leader has to gut it out and realize that this too shall pass. And so that's just one of the ideas of becoming successful, is why wouldn't you borrow from somebody else who's been through those valleys and fought back and became successful? And you can borrow that just by reading a book or listening to an audio.
Absolutely agree with that. I mean, because you're, as you put it, you're shortcutting your growth by
Exactly.
learning from the mistakes of others. I mean, you can make all the mistakes yourself or avoid them by learning from the mistakes of others. And I love that. So during that time, as you're learning these skills, as you're still developing, as you're researching, what was it like in the household? I mean, was this an agreement between you and Heather? Like, it's all good, Jake, in your own time.
No, it wasn't. I really owe my wife big time. She wound up getting a job, and a pretty good one, 6-figure income. It was an elected position, And because I came back, one of the things I did is I don't know, I got involved in local politics, and I wanted to affect positive change. And I hate politics and I hate government. I don't like somebody telling me what to do. And so I'm one of these guys that I'd rather we not have somebody putting their thumb on me, especially in life. That's why. That's why I don't like a job. I can't work for somebody else. I can't have somebody telling me what to do. I can't. I wouldn't last very. I'd last about 3 days until And I have done that before. I've had a couple of jobs where I told the guy, "Kiss off, dude. I can't. I don't have to take this. I can go dig in dumpsters and get pizza and eat and get by. I don't need your job." But I do have, I owe her a lot, because at the time when I was involved in politics, the local head politician guy of our party came to me and said, "Hey, we want to put somebody on the ticket to run against the other party, and nobody's ever done it in our county. Would you run for the Registry of Deeds?" And that's the most exciting office in politics. I don't know if you know. It's not boring. It's an administrative job. It's not even political. It's like, "Oh, I'm going to bring you my deed from the land that you just bought, and I'm going to make a copy of it and put it in a public record so people can look at it." That's what you're doing. It's not politics at all. But because it is a job where she's handling public funds, you want to be able to hold them accountable, that's how you do it, is you elect them. And if they're not doing a good job, you can get rid of them. And so I told the guy, "No, heck no, I don't want to be a registrar of deeds." And my wife was hearing the conversation. She goes, "I'll do it." She stuck her hand up, and she ran for office, and she won, and she's been there for 3 terms now, and she's done a great job. She's the only bureaucrat you're ever going to know that's reduced her budget every single year she's been in office and improved service. It's unheard of in government, but she's done it. And I'm a guy that don't like government, so that's a weird combination. But she actually allowed me to be lazy, but she didn't like it. To be honest, she kept telling me, "You need to." I never let my license go in our business, and so I had clients and I had assets under management, and so I didn't ignore those people. I worked with them when they needed something, but I didn't try to build the business or grow the business. And so I had some income coming from that, and she's finally got her wishes. I mean, I guess my daughter is like a miracle to her. It's like an answer to her prayer, because she knows I can do something really big in this business. She knows it. She's told me that many times. If you just answer the call of your ability and your potential, nobody can stop you. And so we're going to find out this time. I'll be a three-peat. I mean, I got started. I have a couple false starts over the years. I got involved in this business and I left it. And then I came back about 5 years later and started at the bottom and worked my way back up. And then went to the UK, and then I came back and I kind of started over again. So I'm starting over from scratch from a standpoint of I don't have a big team of people, and I want a big team of people. It's like real estate. If you're a broker, you want a bunch of agents out there selling houses. And I want to do that in my business now. So I've got my daughter and my wife, and she's hired 3 people, and I'm hiring people, and now we're starting over. So yeah, it wasn't a fun in our household in a lot of those years, but we've got a committed marriage. And so you know what you do, for better or for worse, and you work through it. And now she's going to get her payday.
Mm. That pays off in the end, and that is a sign of that commitment. How well you work through adversity together, isn't it? It's how well you go through those tough times together. They're the real tests, and that's the kind of bonding. That's the where you get to ask all the questions and see what answers come of it. So I love that story, Jake. So third time's a charm, third time lucky. What would you say is now different compared to the previous 2 times?
Well, there's a couple of different things. First of all, your attitude has to be right. I don't care. I mean, she's been wanting me to get back in the business for a long time, and I just wasn't feeling it. My attitude is different now. My attitude, I'm excited again, but maybe it took my daughter for that to happen. But there is a maturity that I'm coming back in the business with. 20 years ago, it was a lot easier for me to offend you. It was a lot easier for me to say something to you that you didn't want to hear that caused you to not want to follow me. My people skills were a lot poorer back then. And I'm not saying my people skills are great now, but I think I'm a little bit more mellow now, and I'm a little bit better listener. I've tried to improve those skills. But back then I was the type A that was in your face, go, go, go. What are you doing, man? What are you waiting around for? And that might not be what you need to hear. And so I think how I treat people is different, and I'm coming to the party with a more mature attitude. And, you know, I truly want other people to win. And back in the early days, it could have been that I wanted to win too, you know. So if you wanted to win with me, come on. But maybe I wasn't focused that much on helping you win. You better figure out how to win with me. I've got this, you know, like you said earlier, you got to pull your own wagon. But that doesn't mean I can't be compassionate and, you know, be more attuned to what it takes to deal with different people with different walks of life and different attitudes and different personalities. And you got to learn how to hunker down with people, as we say down here in the South, and talk their language. And so I think I got that going for us. And then being 10 years out of commission for 10 years, I got a huge potential warm market to go help, because I didn't talk to anybody for 10 years about my business. And so I've got all these friends, and people are like, what is it that you do? Because they don't know I'm a beekeeper, you know.
Amazon seller.
I mean, I could have told them, oh yeah, I have a business and I make money from it. I just don't build it. But anyway, long story short, we got a huge potential to go help a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there that need help to learn how to manage their money, become debt-free, financially independent, because they're not teaching it in school. And the big financial companies out there, they don't want to help you. They want your money. If you can find a company with a person that really cares about your outcome and is willing to work with you over your lifespan to build a plan for you, that's unique in this financial services industry. So we have that. So I have to have a passion for helping people, or this opportunity is really not real.
Mm.
You can't come to our party and be self-centered and only want to make money at the expense of whatever. That's not going to happen. You better have some integrity, or you're probably not. I'm not going to ask you to work with me.
Mm.
Anyway, I get to choose who I work with, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. And this time is also the first time where you'll be, you know, working directly with your family member, with your daughter and your son-in-law. So will you approach that any differently to building any other team that you've done in the past?
Well, it's not like I'm going to give them favors, you know. It's not like, and I can't really give them favors because our company is built on strictly a pure merit-based system. If you produce, you get paid. If you do what you're supposed to do, you get promoted. I'm not going, and you know, when I came back on the second time, like the first time I got out of the business, I went up and opened up a franchise, a Papa John's pizza franchise, which is a big franchise over here. In fact, there's one in Manchester. I
Yep,
don't know if
yep,
it's
yep.
still there. And I love the pizza. And so I did that for about 3 years, and then I got out of it. Didn't get along with my partners, or they didn't get along with me. They didn't like me, I guess. I don't know. Long story short, I had to start over. And it's kind of like what you did. It's like they just pulled the rug out from me one day and said, you're no longer part of the board of, you know, we had a 3-person company, you know, with board of directors, and we had 1/4 person that was one of the brothers. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm on the board of the director. I can't even, I'm not making any decisions anyway. I'm just doing what you guys want me to do. Long story short, I sold out and came back licking my wounds at that time. And Roy Matlock, who I knew in my business, was in another organization. Imagine if you own a McDonald's, and this franchise owner over here owns 10 McDonald's, and then this guy over here owns 15. Roy is just another owner that had his own business within that McDonald's hierarchy, if you will. And I came back and I said, Roy, because when I left, he's making about $90,000 a year. And I came back about 3 or 4 years later, and he was making 360 or 380. I'm like, dang, son, you got it going on. And so I came back and I said, look, I want to learn this business, and I'm ready to be totally coachable. Tell me what I need to do. He said, well, Jake, you were an RVP. You were a broker when you left the first time. So I can't bring you on as a broker, but I can bring you on to the highest level below the broker, which is a senior regional manager. And since that'll give you a chance to make some money. I said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want other people in our business, when I go to a business school or a training situation with other regional managers and senior regional managers, they're like, why are you a regional manager? You don't even have anybody on your team to manage. How did that happen? And I said, I want to start at the bottom and start over as a rep. And he said, Jake, dude, you got to make some money. I can't let you start as a rep. So he bumped me up to the next level, which is district, and I accepted that. But there's like 4 positions between district and a broker. And so I rebuilt the business. You know, I wanted to do it the right way. And so I started over as a district leader. And that's a 50% contract of the profits that we generate. Whereas a broker, we get 105%. So I was taking a pretty good pay cut to do that, but I didn't have anything to pay cut. I was starting over. I wanted to build a team the right way, and I didn't want anybody to say he got favors. So my son-in-law and my daughters are not going to get favors. I'm not going to promote them to SRN just because they're my daughter. They're going to have to build it the right way. Because, you know, when you try to help that butterfly, that worm that's in a cocoon, and you open up the cocoon to help them out, and they're struggling to get out. And so you take your knife and cut it open, they're malformed.
Yeah.
They won't fly. You've done them a disservice. You've injured them. You've got to let them struggle. And so, you know, I'll give them everything I can. Like I've always told you, and I don't know if you ever remember this, I would, when I'm hiring a new person, I'm going to work with them, and I'll say, Andy, man, you could be really great at our company. I think you could do some big things. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, though. If you're coachable, if you'll listen to what I say and do what I ask you to do, you can become successful. But I'll never ask you to do anything that I won't do. I'm going to do it all. So you just follow my lead. And so I'm not going to say, you got to go over here and, you know, clean out the toilets, but I'm not going to clean out the toilets. I'm going to get down there with you and jump in the toilet with you. And so that's what I'm going to give them the opportunity to do. I'll do everything I possibly can to help support you, lead you, give you good leadership, you know. And if you start challenging me, I don't want to do it that way, Dad. I want to do it this way. Well, I have 2 choices. I can say, okay, go over and try that for a while and let me know how it works, and let them go struggle. And maybe they'll come back and say, how's that system that you're doing? Or I can also, maybe I can shortcut that situation and they can borrow from my experience, and I can say, Andy, let me ask you a question. Would you rather have strong leadership or weak leadership? What would you choose?
Strong leadership, please.
Okay. If you want weak leadership, I'll let you do whatever you want to do, and you're going to fail and you're going to quit, and I didn't help you win. If you want strong leadership, then what I'm going to ask you to do is put aside the urges to figure out this thing on your own. I've done it. In fact, what do you want to do? And they tell me what they want to do. I did that 3 different ways, and it all failed. And we know that we're doing it this way over here, and it works. And if you want to be successful, then if you learn it my way, because when you start hiring other people, you know what you need to do? You need to duplicate your efforts through them. Why would you teach them a separate system that you're using that works for you? You want a congruency. When geese fly, when you see a flock of geese flying, what are they doing? They're flying in alignment, right? They're in that V formation. You know why they do that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because the head goose is honking, and he's flapping the hardest, and he's got the biggest, he's got the hardest job because he's in the headwind, and everybody behind him is drafting off of that lead goose, and then when the leader goose gets tired, he'll drop out and fly them back and get in the end of the line where he could hardly has to flap at all because he's being drugged forward with the draft of the team. And the new goose steps up and takes that head of the pack or the flock, and they continue flying. That's why they can fly for thousands of miles when they're migrating. So we're migrating from where we are now to where we want to be financially and in business success, fly in alignment, and be, so as a strong leader, I have to make sure that people understand that, but you have to educate them and explain why. You know, you always reminded me of Hector Lamarck, which one of our giants in our business. And I actually kind of looked like him when he was younger. And you talk like him with an English accent. Your mannerisms. Anyway, Hector always said that no matter what you say to a person, when you're educating a person, when you're delegating something to a person, say, I need you to do this. He says the best thing you could ever do is ask them to repeat back to you what you just asked them to do. and you will be amazed at what they thought they heard you say. It has nothing to do with what you ask them to do. Like, wait a minute, where did you getting that from? So you ask them to repeat it back, and then you can determine, are they in alignment with you? Are they hearing your message? And if they're not, you got to explain it a different way, and then ask them to repeat it back. And then when you finally can say, okay, you do understand what I'm asking for, so go do it, that will eliminate a lot of your problems. I don't care if you're just in a business with employees, especially employees. You're probably way better impact a business if you have a bunch of W-2 employees. That we call them W-2. That's the paperwork you file over here in the U.S. to say, I'm not an independent contractor. I'm not in business. I'm just an employee working for you. You tell me what to do. If you're going to tell them what to do, you better listen to see if they understand what you're asking them to do, and you'll get a lot more out of your business and the direction that you want to take your company.
Yeah. That was, wow, so much stuff in there, Jay. We could be talking for hours. I'm getting so much value from this.
Well, you told me not to ramble on and try to be concise. I'm sorry, I just blew it.
No, I think it was great. It was great. All those points, all the analogies, I love it. And I particularly love the idea of the strong leadership, recognizing how important strong leadership is, but then actually being able to define it and articulate it, in the day-to-day. Knowing how important it is for you to set those strong boundaries and to push back, even if the other person doesn't like it, and it's being able to hold your ground and stand strong in that. Because weak leadership is when you get resistance and you feel like it's somehow, then it taps into your ego or your pride or insecurities and all those kind of things. And that gets in the way of strong leadership, right?
Yep. Yeah. In fact, when you have weak leadership like that, it's kind of like a parent where you got a 2-year-old wants to run out in the street. If you're a weak parent, you're like, yeah, go play in the street, kid. Bam. And they just got took out by a truck. You can't do that. You're going to go over there and pick that kid up. If you have to jerk them off the road before they get run over, it might not feel good to them. They may start crying, but you just save their life. And that's basically what you got to do when you're working with people in leaderships. We've got a different problem in business. You can just tell somebody what to do, and even if you don't ask them to repeat it back, you can go make them do something. Maybe they screw it up, you can yell at them or whatever. They can quit or whatever. In our business and in your business, you have to attract people. You can't make people. You're not coming to work for me. They're coming to work for themselves to build a business. I can't make them do anything. I have to be attractive for them to say, I want to learn what that guy's teaching me, and he's attractive enough that I like what I'm hearing. I want to be a part of that. And I think I can, he's got credibility with me, and he's got experience, and he's got a proof of concept. Yes, I'll follow him. So we're like a Boy Scout troop where you don't have to belong to Boy Scouts, but if you want to belong, we do have all these merit badges that you need to get. And there are some rules to get them, but I can't make you do it. I have to attract you to do it.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. I like that. I like that a lot. How have you then, because if they're strong leaders and there are weak leaders, how do you feel, what molded you to become the strong leader that you are? That very solid, clarity, clear boundaries.
I was the hard head. My leader, Roy Matlock Jr., he makes he wears the ring that says he broke 7 figures in income. I mean, I should be listening to him, right? You know what his nickname for me was, or is? Well, it was. I think I've changed since then. Titanium head. Because I'm a hard head, because I always wanted to do something different. And I always got a different idea. And so that's what he would call me, titanium head. So one of the reasons I've become a strong leader is I've made a lot of mistakes, and then I've come back to the table. But I do have one thing going for me. I'll actually let you know that I screwed up, that I made a mistake, and apologize if I do something to hurt somebody's feelings. But from a standpoint of just doing the wrong activity, or using the wrong words, or using the wrong approach, you don't take long before you figure out it doesn't work. The key is, are you a man enough or woman enough to say, okay, I admit I didn't listen, but I'm willing to listen now. And over a period of years of doing that, to some degree, and then starting to win by listening. It just becomes a natural progression that if you want to progress, you always have to start, you have to keep your ears open. You always have to figure out, you've never learned it all. What, Tom Hopkins is one of like the, over here in the US, I don't know if you've heard of him.
I have read his book.
One of the best sales coaches ever in sales. He says, the moment you think that you know it all and you're taking that victory lap, you're actually taking the victory lap around the toilet bowl, because you're going down the toilet, because you're not going to grow and get better from that point if you think you know it all. So I never think, I'm pretty good across the kitchen table and presenting our clients or products and, closing business and helping people overcome hurdles that keep them from getting started with us. But I don't know everything, and I'm always looking. I'm like a sponge. What's that one more thing I could learn that I could implement, that I could make me better and make me get to closer to 100% success ratio? You're never going to be 100%, but you always want to inch towards that.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I call that having a beginner's mind, just resetting all the time.
Yeah.
Because you can learn from everybody. And that's the thing, obviously you're going to look up to people that are above you, your mentors or your coaches, your consultants, your teachers, and it's clear that you're going to learn from them, but you can learn from the members of your team as well. Everybody has value. You just got to know how to look for it.
Well, I was about to ask you, you're coaching people to success, but you must be coaching people that have something going for them, right? They've got some modicum of success. Do you learn from them? How does that impact you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like senior managers, owners of companies, very successful people. And it's just, I get people coming up to me and saying, thank you so much for that. It was really good, really helpful. But they don't really understand how much of an impact it had on me as well. Allowing me to get some insight into their journey, allowing me to just have that little bit more experience in working with somebody else who's unique and who's special, who has their own blueprint. That all of that helps me. So I'm always learning, always, just adding to my repertoire, adding to my skill set, and I love it, because I love working with people.
Do you have mentors in this business that on how to be a sales coach or a success coach?
Yeah, I'm always investing in that too. So last year I was invested heavily, and this year I'm investing as much, if not more, because that's the trajectory that I want to head in. So I've got to invest at least the same amount, if not more, on my skills. So I have different coaches and programs that I join and that I'm a part of.
And it is an investment. When people say, like you let me know you're coming to Nashville in January for some marketing conference, and you said it's at Opryland Hotel. I said, dude, that's only 40 miles from my house. And you're coming to the whole U.S. and you're going to be like right there next to me. What is this marketing conference? And you said, well, it's just this conference on how to market online. And I want to learn how to do that, so I'm going to go to the conference with you. And you're going to stay at our house, and we'll save you some money on your hotel bill.
Yeah,
we're going to fellowship. And is Lisa coming, by the way?
I've told her. I think she's gearing up for the idea. She'd love to spend time with Heather.
Well, she's welcome. Yeah, welcome to come over. But if somebody says to me, and this is where I know their mindset needs to be evolved, is when they say, well, I can't afford that, or that's too expensive, or $997 to go to a conference for 3 days. That's crazy. That's, okay, then you need to go back and read some books. They're cheap. They're like 15 bucks. Go get you a book and get your attitude right. Because the money you invest, if you just do one thing that can make you an extra $5,000 or $10,000 this year, it's a small price to pay to learn how to do that. Or if you can go to a conference about success coaching, and you can learn how to develop your people to a higher level success, that they're going to retain you and pay you money to keep you around because you're helping them become successful. It all comes back to you in the form of an ROI and your experience and your ability to be, to go work your business and become successful. It's not an expense. It is an investment. You will get an ROI.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one final question, and this is, we could talk for hours, Jake.
And we will, but it just won't be recorded. Maybe, I don't know.
It won't be recorded. Sorry, reviewers. Sorry, listeners. Um, before we go, I want to ask you one final question. We talked about, business is about growing wealth, and which provides stability, which provides security. But I know you as a person, and I know there's more to it than that. How do you intend to increase your impact going forward?
Well, let me say one thing. You should add the word time in there. Time is one of the most important things. You can have all the money in the world, but if you run out of time, if you don't have health, if you're not healthy and can't enjoy the money, what good is it? So when I say build wealth or financial independence, what I'm really saying is you're able to develop a situation where the time that the breaths that you take and the work and the efforts you make have an impact, a positive impact on the world, whether it's your own family or whether it's right there in your community, whether you want to do, charity work, or whether you want to do, work in the spiritual world, or whatever it may be. That's, you got me sidetracked now, because I don't think that's the actual question you asked me, is it? Could you restate the question? Let me make sure that I'm headed in the right direction.
How are you intending to increase your impact going forward?
Okay. So I want to get to the point where the decisions I make are not based on money. Okay. Do I have to, I got to get enough activity going so that I can make enough money to pay my mortgage or whatever it may be. Once you get to a certain level of income or financial independence, then it's about what's important. Most people don't have problems. They have a lack of funds issue, because almost every problem can be solved with money, except health. And a lot of times health can be solved with money because you can get the best health care. But things like health or your mental state or your spiritual state, those don't really have anything to do with money. I can be happy being broke. I really can. I remember being broke, but I was never unhappy. I will say I had lost my way in the last 10 years, but I certainly wasn't broke. So it has nothing to do with money. It's about, are you applying yourself in a way that you got that gratification that I'm doing something, I'm worthwhile. I'm accomplishing something that I want to be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
As the founder of our company was saying, I want to be somebody. And that's, I really think that if I can show other people how to obtain their goals. I mean, if you come to me and say, Jake, my dream is to own a food truck and sell hot dogs out of it. Okay, well, what's stopping you? Well, it takes about 30 grand to open up a food truck. Okay, well, what's stopping you? Well, I don't have 30 grand. Okay, well, why don't you have 30 grand? Well, my job I'm barely paying my bills. Okay, well, what are you doing with that? You have any extra time? Yeah, what are you doing with that? Well, I think about it a lot, but okay, come to work with me part-time. Let me teach you a way to help other people, and you make good money, and just save that money. And if it gets you to the point where you want to leave my business and go open your food truck, hallelujah. I feel like that's the impact I want to be able to have, is to help somebody else get to obtain their goal or their dream. It doesn't have to be my goal or dream, but I just have a vehicle to maybe help you get there. And I really believe that that's what's going to keep me on track, is continually thinking about, why am I interacting with you or anybody else? It shouldn't be just for my purpose. The payoff is the result of what I've done to you to serve you, as a fellow citizen or a fellow man or woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's good. Thank you, Jake. Thank you so much for imparting your wisdom and your thoughts and your ideas. It's been really good having you.
I really had a good time, Andy, and I'm sure we'll have we'll have to have like a coffee conversation or a tea time conversation, like maybe once a month, and do our own little Zoom, because I learn a lot from you too, man. I enjoy your company, and I look forward to seeing you in January. And I've been watching you from afar on your Facebook page, even though you don't talk to me, but and watching you develop your success coaching business. And not just your success coaching business, but your personal approach to just helping other people. I mean, there's a lot of times you post things that have nothing to do with with business, and those are business coaching, or it maybe, yeah, probably all is to do with success coaching, but it's really to do with people, the people business of caring about other people. And, you know, I'm really grateful to have a friend like you that has that kind of attitude towards others.
Thank you so much, Jake. Thank you. And yeah, I look forward to those coffee times. I look forward to seeing you in person after all this time and meeting your family and seeing them again. That'd be great. Thanks for your time, Jake. Goodbye for now.
Thanks. See you, Andy. Take care.